Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, YouTube. This is Tylos944. This is a video that's sort of been forced upon me by Mr. GT Hooper, as he told everybody on his YouTube channel that I do have a YouTube channel. This is basically a little video about my project, which is a Lotus. You see by the picture, this car could end up quite fun. This is an old Caterham advert, but I hope my car will look for something a little bit like this. Okay, so the walk round starts from here. This is where I am so far. I have to apologise for any dodgy camera work. I'm not very good with video cameras. As you can see, I've got the basic frame in position. The engine mount. And here's a shot of the engine, which is basically just a shell of the engine. I've stripped it down, just waiting to rebuild it with new shells. I'm going to get the camshaft reworked, hopefully. A friend of mine's going to take it back to New Zealand when he goes there and get it reworked by Auckland Cams. The head and everything's all been cleaned, ready to receive the valves, which will be ground in soon. And it's a Toyota 1.34K engine. Not the most powerful thing in the world, but then again, the car is a fun car. It's not going to be a race car. If I was going for a race car, that would probably have something a lot more powerful in it. Plus also it's what I can get my hands on here at a reasonable price. In Thailand, second-hand car parts and second-hand cars are very, very expensive. This engine is connected to a Toyota T50 gearbox. This is a 5-speed manual gearbox, which is quite a rare combination. They did do them, and I can't remember what vehicles they actually fitted them in originally. I've had to shorten the gear stick. You see, zoom in for that. I had to shorten the gear stick because it looked like he was driving a bus. It was about twice as long as that when I first started. Anyway, my engine mounts. Quite pleased with these. This is, I think, attempt number 3 or 2. I'm not sure now. It's been a while to make these. They're quite simple now in the end. And they've all got they need a coat of paint. But what really pleases is the actual engine mounts themselves. They're a rubber from a V8 Land Rover, and I managed to get these here for less than £1 each, made here in Thailand, so you know they should be okay. So that's the engine mounts done. Close up with the bottom of the steering column with a pillar block bearing just to help the steering run a little bit smoother. The steering column fitted so far. That's from, again, a Toyota KE30. All my donor parts are from a Toyota KE30, which did originally have the 3K engine, which was a 1.2 engine. This again is an adaptation from the Haynes book, and I've had to make it my own by what is available here, and it's still work in progress. Unfortunately here with the high humidity, once you start handling and welding materials, they go rusty really quickly, so I'm having to sort of paint as I go once I've fully welded something. Steering column was a bit of a challenge because I couldn't get it to stop flexing, but eventually I made up a simple little bracket, as you can see there. I'm now starting work on the scuttle box, which is this frame here. You can see here is the scuttle box. Again, an adaptation from the book. Most of these cars use a fiberglass scuttle, which is widely available in the UK and America and Australia, but obviously not available at all here in Thailand. It gives both books give very basic instructions on how to make it. No real dimensions, so there's a little bit of wing it and quite a few do-overs I'm expecting along the way. But as a little bit of a design change, I've made up from a local laser cutter these frames, which I've bent and tack welded. They're yet to be cleaned up and finalised. Tack welded, excuse me, the outer frame, which then will once get put on the car, they'll be then sheeted in aluminium. Obviously just to try and keep the weight down a little bit. I'm not overly conscious for the weight, as like I say, it's not going to be a race car. Again, moving on a bit more, here's your handbrake assembly, which is again from the K30 Toyota. You can see there's a mock-up of a seat. Unfortunately these cars are very narrow in the cockpit area, so try and get a seat to fit is very difficult off the shelf. So I've got two choices really. I could go for the original Lotus style bench seat, which gives you no adjustability for drivers, or I found this plan, I think it's a Reuter aluminium seat plan on the internet, which you basically make it up and get it welded up out of aluminium or steel, if you're not too worried about the weight. So I made it up out of future board because it's easier and cheaper to do than steel, just to see if it's going to fit. Unfortunately it did not fit at first, so I had to take an inch out of the middle, join it back together, and it fits, and I can still get my backside in it, and I think it should be okay. It will flex being thin aluminium or thin steel, so hopefully this is the way I'm going to go with the seats. I quite like the look of them. They've got plenty of head support. Moving further on to the back, my rear axle, again it's been modified and a quick coat of paint from the Toyota K30 axle. Going for the 4-link trailing arm suspension. Let's see if I can get you a shot of that. And again, this is my own design of the brackets because I didn't really like the look of the brackets they had before. This is quite a bit more beefed up. Gives me a little bit of adjustability should I need it. So we've got the two trailing arms, again all fabricated by myself, and also your panhard rod going from left to right, stop side with axle movement. And as you can see, I've got temporary solid struts in place because the shock absorbers are very expensive, and I don't particularly want them just sitting around here in this heat and humidity. I'm scared they might deteriorate over time. It's going to be a while before I get to need them, so they'll be bought more or less when the car's completed. The brakes, as you can see, there's no brakes inside there yet. They've got to be rebuilt. I'm running 15-inch wheels purely because they came with the donor car. They're quite a reasonable wheel, albeit they're in a desperate need of a refurb. Get you a shot of that. There you go. See, they're a little bit tatty, but I found for a small sum of money I can get them repainted, get the centres made a lot nicer with different hubcaps, some new wheel nuts and trimmings, and they'll look good as new. Just a shot along the side of the car now. You can see it's reinforced. The part yet to be finished off really is the front end. There should be some bracing across the front at the top there, and also some more diagonal bracing here, and all the brackets for the front suspension. I'm going to try to convert these Toyota Corolla front uprights. They'll probably be cut down to sort of around about there, and a new piece made for the top, and using a transit style, which again is recommended in the book as a transit style drag link, which again not available here in Thailand. What I managed to find is some Toyota pickup drag links. They're pretty well the same size as the transit ones. Move around the back of the car now. These rear frames I got bent by a little guy who makes pickup back ends. Charged me a couple of quid for doing the bending. Then we put it all together. Earlier on this summer, the car was just tacked together. There was no full welds, and I had a welder-thong, and my friend Brian, also from England, he came over and he did a day welding as well. Because trust me, in the heat of Thai summer, welding is no fun whatsoever. A bit further more towards the silicone, you can see there I'm using the standard Toyota Corolla indicator and wiper controls. I do intend to have a windscreen, so the wipers will be handy, and the hazard switch. The only part of this I'm not going to use is the ignition switch. There's two reasons for that. One, I don't actually have the key, so, and two, really the dashboard will be slightly covering it, so I'd either have to make a hole in the dashboard or releasing the dashboard so you can put your hand to it, or the other option is, which I'm going to go for, is to do a little dash mounted ignition switch, which is more in keeping with the style of the car. Steering wheel wise, I've bought myself a nice Nardi knockoff steering wheel. The price for a Nardi steering wheel over here is about £200. I got this one for about £30, so it's a big difference. Yeah, I know it's not original, but hey, it looks good. You know, I can always get it covered in leather. Got it covered in plastic at the moment, obviously, to keep it clean while it's being handled. Tools wise, well, very limited tools really. I just buy as I go. Most of all the welding's been done through my little Chinese-made TIG welder, which I've never TIG welded before really, so I had to learn that. And it's proven to be very reliable, so anybody out there who thinks Chinese stuff is absolute rubbish, have a little think again. Think what you're going to use it for. I mean, this has done a lot of welding, and I'm sure it's got a lot of life left. Again, my bottle of argon, I buy these bottles, it costs me £5 to refill them with 250 Thai baht, £5. They don't last long, but it's not that expensive. A little bench grinder, which I commonly use for grinding the tungstens. It's not really a powerful enough grinder. I sort of made a mistake on that. I should have bought a bigger one, but I'm a bit of a tight ass sometimes. And I don't have a vice, so most of my gripping and holding has been done in this little old Black & Decker Workmate, which again, me and Brian actually got a good deal on them. They buy one get one free, so we basically got it for half price each. I've got a few air tools, so I bought myself a little air compressor. Again, I got that for, what was it, about £50 I think it was, maybe a little bit more. It's a little 3 horsepower, it'll run a spray gun. I don't really want to run an impact gun. I figure if you can't undo it or do it by hand, then you don't need it really. So I've got myself a spray gun, blow off gun, tyre gauge, and obviously I will be running an air riveter when I come to doing the floor. I did invest in a good quality self-darkening mask, which has been a godsend, especially with my amateurish welding. It's really helpful, that has. What else have I got? Oh yes, for my birthday this year, my darling wife bought me a nice toolkit, because I did have a few tools, but we had floods over here in Thailand a few years back, and everything just got rusted to hell and lost or whatever through the floods. So she bought me this nice toolkit, which again, at the moment, it's all I've needed. Got a few hand tools, a few G-clamps, brushes, hammers, you know, the normal workshop stuff. But yeah, that's progress so far. Anybody who wants to keep up progress, I will put a link in my comments bit down at the bottom of here. If anybody who wants to keep up on my build, my progress, and even see it from the beginning, have a look at my blog. It is tylos.wordpress.com. tylos.wordpress.com. Again, I'll put a link in on my YouTube page for that.